Welcome to the Value Builder Podcast, where we focus on real estate with a value-add mindset. Real strategies, real operators, real outcomes. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to Value Builder Podcast. Today's guest went from immigrating to US at age 11 to managing over $10 billion of real estate portfolio when he was at Public REIT. And he's not done yet. His name is Aleksey, and he's the founder of GPLP.match.com, which we're going to be talking about today. It's a free platform connecting general partners and limited partners in commercial real estate and making deals funded and happen. Right now, they have over 2,600 LPs and 60 deals live at any given moment, and $4 billion of distributed funding, and that's at no cost to users, whether GPs or LPs. So Aleksey truly built something meaningful and amazing in this space. So whether you're GP looking to raise capital or LP searching for your next investment, this episode will be packed with insights, how you can use the platform and how can you benefit for your deals or capital. So let's dive in. Aleksey, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about you. How did you end up in real estate, and just give us a flavor of who you are and how can we connect with you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. I guess at a very high level, I came to the US when I was 11 from Russia, did a bunch of schooling of all sorts.
Right.
Ultimately, my career ended up in real estate after doing some like hedge fund and algorithmic trading stuff. Last real estate role was at a public REIT, which is now private. I led an underwriting team there, like a 20-person team, a $10 billion portfolio across the US, which was very fun. Then I sort of got like the entrepreneur bug and left. Initially, I started advising LPs directly, which ultimately led to a lot of questions. So like naturally people started asking, hey, do you know of a GP that does industrial in Colorado? But I would like them to be based in Miami because I want to meet them in person. So a ton of questions like that, which were in my head query-like questions. And then, of course, at some point I would meet a GP that would match those criteria, and I'm like, man, like there's got to be an easier way to do this at scale, and that's what gave birth to GPLPmatch.com, which I guess in super short is LPs can register, tell me exactly what types of deals they want to see, property types, markets, co-invest, like all types. There's like 20 different filters you can pick from. And then GPs submit their deals as they have something under contract. It goes out to LPs that match, and they can speak freely amongst each other. And maybe somewhat surprisingly, there are no fees for them to talk to each other.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. So, but really, just on a high level, you're coming from operator plus LP perspective, right? So when you in your previous life before this, right, you were operator of real estate, and also you were a capital provider, I guess, or a capital operator on the back end. That's how we have this understanding of all the structure, right?
Yeah, we didn't operate under like a GPLP structure. It was a public REIT, so we just deployed money and owned the entire asset ourselves. But after I left, I had some experiences with sort of like the private space, GPLP structures, and I was just blown away by A, how big the market is, and also B, how like not always, but I guess just by the lack of like consistency sometimes, a lack of transparency sometimes, right? And I just realized, wow, this is like a really big space. And so I just set out to slowly build in it.
Nice. So look, I would really like to dive in, and I think, our viewers and audience would like to get a taste of GPLP Match, and maybe we can share the screen. And while we browsing, I'll be talking because some people probably listening in the car. But
Yeah, sure.
can we share the screen? Just give us a taste exactly what we're looking for. Yeah, just kind of go through the benefits and features. How can LPs and GPs benefit from
Yeah,
your
sure.
product that you created?
Yeah, so I think I'll start with something very simple. So
Mm-hmm.
when you register, it takes about 30 seconds to register, and you'll set something what we call deal preferences, which is, exactly what it sounds like. I should probably.
Yeah, and when you say register, that's you registering as an LP or you're registering as a GP right now in this view.
Right now, I'm speaking about the LP experience. And the GP experience, I'll speak to in a second. But so from the LP side, It takes, I don't know, 30 seconds to 60 seconds to register. The longest part of it is just telling me what you want to see, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
can clearly say, well, I want to do the Sun Belt also. Maybe I don't want Midwest anymore. My preferences have changed. Do you want multi, industrial, self-storage,
Mm-hmm.
any one of them? What risk categories? In other words,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm not so into development at the moment, so I can take that off, right? Minimum year build, purchase prices, minimums, maximums,
Mm-hmm.
where do you want to be in the equity stack, right? So there's a ton here, as you can tell, like a ton
Mm-hmm.
around IRRs, returns, asset types, investment types,
Mm-hmm.
and then about the GP, how experienced are they, et cetera, right? So once you
Mm-hmm.
set all these things up, what you will see is basically you can go to the dashboard
Mm-hmm.
and it updates automatically based on your filters. So if
Mm-hmm.
you'll see that some of these have 100% match, which means there's a live deal that matches precisely to what you're looking for, whereas some of them might say not matching. So I'll just pick this one as an example.
Now, so these are the live right now in arrays, or also you catching the historical
No,
matches
no,
that
these are
been.
all live. These are all live transactions as of this moment. Yeah. And so you can scroll down and see like what didn't match, right? So for some reason the system said it's not matching. Why? Because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't include retail. I also
Mm-hmm.
didn't include Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
and the purchase price was too small. I said I want a $10 million minimum, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now you can sort of understand now, I think, how the system functions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it's
It doesn't eliminate, like, on a hard basis. They still give you a taste to look, even if it does not 100% match.
exactly, yeah, yeah. But the point is you sort of want to focus your attention on whatever
Mm-hmm.
is 100% match.
Mm-hmm.
And then we give you the ability to filter even more. So you can say,
Okay.
I only want equity in a certain state. Maybe I want someone who's open to a JV partner or a co-GP or a large check writer. Yeah, maybe it has to be a distressed deal or value add.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe I'm not so into funds at the moment, so I'll do portfolio and single asset. And you can see again, like even with all those filters, we have 3, 6, 9, 10 options, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's really a ton of different
Mm-hmm.
opportunities. If I clear all the filters, I think we have like 60-ish deals up right now, 65 maybe. So, there's a lot. Uh, on the GP side, um, you can submit a deal at a click of a button. We actually fill the form for you. Registering takes about 60 seconds. It's like
Mm-hmm.
all the basic stuff, like what's your website, what's your strategy, and actually just registering and getting on the platform gets you on our search feature. This is something
Mm-hmm.
we rolled out recently. So a lot of LPs, especially like family office and allocators, said like it's hard responding to a deal because there's not enough time to get to know the counterparty. So we'd
Mm-hmm.
like to get to know GPs earlier. And so there's a ton of filters that allow you to query our database of GPs based on the headquarter state markets, how large they are, years of experience, round trip investments, and so on and so forth. So like you can LPs can find GPs now in two different ways, and we're working on others as well. So the first way, which is the deals, if you have a
Mm-hmm.
deal, it's live, you submit it, you'll be on the dashboard, people can find you. And if they're interested, by the way, they just click a button and we introduce them automatically within seconds. And then the second way is through the GP search function.
Now, so GPs, let's say if they're promoting the deal, how much is that? So the way I understood it, just to put a marketplace, there is no charge, but is there I guess, how do you promote the deal if there is any other way to promote for whether outreach to the LPs? Do you have a paid subscription or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah. So we make money two ways currently. So one is partnerships. So we have like service providers that pitch GPs that I know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's essentially advertising.
Mm-hmm.
The second way, as you said, we do have a premium subscription. The premium subscription is detached from deal submission. In other words,
Mm-hmm.
a GP can submit a deal, we will send it, and LPs can reach out. And all of that entire flow up to and including getting a wire is totally free.
Mm-hmm.
The subscription is tied to a few things. As you saw just now, there's 60, 70 deals that are live.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like it's too difficult to keep up too many of them at a given time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we basically cap the number of days that a free deal is up in that dashboard while still sending those initial emails to matched
Mm-hmm.
LPs, right? And secondly, there's a ton of data that's provided on the platform as well. I oftentimes get questions like, "Hey, can you give me feedback on my deck? How do I compare it to other GPs? How can I reach more LPs?" And we basically rolled all of that into software that is on demand and all part of premium.
Makes sense. Totally makes sense. Every week, I read hundreds of commercial real estate articles from across the US and around the world. I connect the signals, break down the Fed moves, and share real case studies, not theory, from my 2 decades of real estate experience and actively doing deals right now. My team and I spend 15 plus hours on a weekly basis and deliver this to you for free. You can read it in 5 minutes. So every Sunday at 9:07 a.m., you'll get major commercial real estate news that matters, one Fed insights that matters, one deep dive case study from me or one of our operators who already made the mistakes, so you don't have to. Thousands of commercial real estate operators and investors read this newsletter, especially in the value add space. And don't take my word for it. Check out hundreds of reader testimonials online. Plus, when you subscribe, you get instant access to a Perform underwriting tool, the same one we use every single day to underwrite value add deals. Now, this is not for you if you're looking to get rich quick schemes, or if you're looking for theory and hallucinations, not real numbers, or you're not serious about commercial real estate. But if you want real tactics, real deals, real results, no bait and switch, go to joinvaluebuilder.com and subscribe for free. And see you there, guys. So let's say if GPs, I guess, maybe I can ask you the question, just like a general question. Obviously, there's many deals are competing, right? And I think most structures, I'm assuming that will be institutional waterfall type of structures, right? Obviously, everyone is competing on IRR, that's given. But besides, promising the most optimal results and pushing those levers, you've seen probably GPs winning LPs. What are other factors we or GPs or listeners, need to put front and center? What needs else to shine and highlight on a deal or on them so they can be picked
Sure.
besides IRR? Granted, IRR probably
Sure.
is one of them, right? But what else?
Actually, I'm going to push back on the IR comment a little bit. We have quite a few LPs. So we have 2,600 LPs currently.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like somewhere between a third to a fourth of them have a maximum IRR filter set. So it is true that IRR matters, but at some point it becomes not believable. Meaning
Exactly.
that's the only way that I can interpret that. And
Mm-hmm.
some of those are at like 20%, meaning some LPs have maximum IRR set at 20%. Very many have them set at 25%, right? So it's like LPs care about IRR, but to a point. Right. In terms of what stands out, I would say so you're right that you're competing. And the platform is set up to be that way. Not on purpose, but it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
there's
Yeah.
options, right?
Last time I checked, we live in America, and we have, it's capitalist world.
Yeah, exactly. LPs have options, and I think that's good. I guess from the perspective of a GP, I would just make sure that like your waterfall is relatively market, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess you'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't be surprised how many times people with very little experience will post deals with like categorically worse co-invests, much higher fees, much lower splits to the LP. And then I sort of like flag it for them and say, hey, like this is a little off. Like I can send it. I don't like, gatekeep deals, so I can send it. I'm just telling you that like They're going to compare it to like the 5 deals I sent this past month that are similar, but not like this in terms of all these factors. And they're like, no, no, my deal is great. Like, just send it. And I'm like, okay. So I send it. They don't hear back. And they're like, like what? What's going on over there?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's tough. It's tough. So look, a GP, I guess, just fundamentally, obviously, is incentivized to have the higher fees,
Mm-hmm.
more promote. But I think some people are mostly playing long-term games. Some people play short-term games. See,
Mm-hmm.
both are fine, right? And I think we tend to have a lot of like the long-term players succeed on the platform over.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Total makes sense. Any anything, let's say, besides trying to tailor to a most competitive fee waterfall structure. Is there anything else? I'm still pointing out to that. Is there
Sure, sure.
experience or deal structure or reference or social proof or anything like that that highlights, or the system does not have capability that you have to dig in? Besides that, uh,
Yeah.
management fees and all, anything else you think can shine?
Look, I'm a believer that the more experience you have, the more say you have over
Mm-hmm.
terms. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's many examples of this, right? So I think I've seen the same thing play out on the platform. Like more experienced managers can sort of dictate higher promotes to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Happens to be that many of those managers are also the types that will do more deals, and they're not necessarily in like the game of let me get the highest promote on a one deal a year,
Mm-hmm.
or have a ton of relationships and they just have a lot of deals and they want to get 20% promotes
Mm-hmm.
on a lot of deals.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of other things, I would also say just presentation. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious, but I'll see decks almost every day that get submitted that don't
Mm-hmm.
have an address, that don't like clearly state what the thesis is, that I don't know, it's just like not pleasant looking, right? And by
Mm-hmm.
the way, I come from like sort of institutional investment committee memos that are not pretty at all. It's just like literally text.
Mm-hmm.
Like I almost think there's like two worlds. Either you put together like a 30-page institutional memo that's like in Word, right? And that's fine. Or you put a PowerPoint together. But if
Mm-hmm.
you put a PowerPoint together, it shouldn't be like a bunch of words and not be well thought out. You know what I'm saying? I think that presentation matters, and I always try to remind LPs that the content is a lot more than how it's presented.
Mm-hmm.
But fact of the matter is like, I send 2 deals a day, 4 deals a day. I think LPs naturally gravitate towards things that are like a little bit more presentable and easy to follow.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as I would argue that, should pay attention to what's inside,
Makes
don't
sense.
judge a book by its cover, so to speak. I just don't think that's how the game
Makes
is
sense.
played.
Yeah, yeah. So in terms of volume, if you can speak numbers, how do you track how deals are being funded right now through your platform this year or per month? Do you have these numbers roughly?
Yeah, yeah. We tend to send 2 to 4 deals a day,
Mm-hmm.
so it's pretty busy. In terms of like LP reach outs, we've been consistently sending LPs. When I say sending, Ps request to connect themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's all done by them. But I would say very consistent, like 30 to 40% of deals will get at least one reach out from LPs,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes more.
Mm-hmm.
That reach out can be someone that wires a $5 million check.
Mm-hmm.
That reach out can be someone that wires a $10,000 check, which is all determined by, the filters that you set and your deal and where it
Mm-hmm.
lands. And in some cases, they don't wire anything, but you still
Mm-hmm.
met some people, they did diligence, and maybe they said, maybe next time, right? So naturally, there's sort of like a due diligence process that doesn't always end up in wires.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Great, 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 man. I want to touch on another topic because obviously you've been in the space, and I want to take your take on it. What do you think about um, funding deals eventually using tokenization, which is, I think it's coming in real estate. I don't know if you saw Kraken Financial a few weeks ago. They got access to Federal Reserve wiring system. But I don't know if you're toying with it, if you're on that trend, how likely this is happening soon, or do you think this is not really happening? There's too much regulation behind it. It's not, security exchange and stuff like that. But do you think that's going to loosen up, and will we going to get liquidity in?
I guess I'll preface this by saying I'm very far from an expert.
Mm-hmm,
Still know embarrassingly little about crypto and the whole blockchain space. I think, look, there's been long debates about like, maybe you can open up the secondaries market. LPs should be
mm-hmm,
able to trade in and out of positions freely,
mm-hmm,
right? I think the large questions there that remain unsolved, at least in my head, are
mm-hmm,
how much demand would there be for something like that, practically
mm-hmm,
speaking? Meaning, yes, it's a big market, but let's say it were to actually exist, would the bid-ask spread actually allow people to trade?
mm-hmm,
Because right now there's a ton of people that would hypothetically sell their shares in whatever they have. Once they get a bid, they're like, whoa, like you want to
mm-hmm,
buy this for 20 cents on the dollar? Like, what's wrong with my position?
mm-hmm,
I thought it was worth 2x.
mm-hmm.
So I just
Fair
think
point.
I really wonder, and by the way, that ignores like typically GPs will have consent rights, all these things, right? It's
Mm-hmm,
like, is it coming one day? Yes. Is it coming to real estate first? I just highly doubt it. You know,
mm-hmm,
I think the size of the market is very big, but there's actually not that many transactions that would occur
mm-hmm.
on a chain like that. That's my non-educated opinion.
Yeah. I am. My opinion is probably similar. I just think it's gonna be a little. It's not gonna be in 10 years. I kind of feel it. It's probably gonna have hate to, of course, forecast, but within 3 to 5 years, we should be able to see it something. Some liquidity coming from that. Like, but I'm not an expert either. Even though I'm trying to watch what's going on. Uh, looking our sitting president's family. I think they raise funds on their resort, So yeah, there's some news that are
For
coming
sure.
my way. I'm like, well, this is coming. This is not 10 years away anymore.
Yeah. I mean, we in there. I'm sitting in Arizona now, and we have self-driving cars on the street. Like
Here you go.
every minute, I see another one. It's actually pretty
Yeah.
wild, and it's one of those things that I guess you push off and assume it's never going to happen, or it's going to happen a long time from now, and meanwhile they're just training away, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly, I think consumer mindset starts switching too. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's funny personally. I started thinking about like my experience with Uber. And I realized like the thing that I don't like about Uber the most is I'm usually like in between calls or whatever, and it's always so difficult for me to I almost feel like a bother to the driver because I don't want to like
They want to talk.
talk
Oh,
to
they want to talk
them.
to get someone who just wants to chat with you.
Exactly. And if I'm talking, then they can't play their music, and at some point I'm just like, huh, like, maybe Waymo really is onto something, and all this like self-driving car stuff because I would if I had a choice. I probably would not have
Yeah.
a driver. I'm not sure that I want to deal with it, which is interesting because a few years ago, I would have told you like, I'd never get into a self-driving
Never gonna.
car.
Yeah.
That's
Driverless car.
crazy,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
things change.
I was in Atlanta last week, and yeah, I saw Waymo. We live in Chicago. We don't have Waymo. We do have delivery bots right now in the city. Quite a few of them. I mean, it's like, wow, this is happening. I don't know where you're at, but this is definitely creeping up on us.
Yeah. We have a lot of those too. Yeah. Um,
Nice.
Pretty crazy. And then, drone deliveries for Amazon, those are
Yeah.
coming too. Um, That'll be pretty interesting.
Awesome. So look, it was great, informative. Hope to do it again. I'll submit one deal and I'll try it out, guys.
Yeah, sure.
Anyone who is listening, so the website is gplpmatch.com. If anyone has a deal or looking for deals, I think that's the great marketplace to test it out. Anyone who wants to reach out to you, Aleksey, where can they find you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super active on LinkedIn and Twitter, just if insights on these topics are helpful. And if they want to reach out to me directly, it's just my first name, Aleksey at gplpmatch.com.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Great episode. Looking forward to talk at some point again. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sal.
Awesome.
You've been listening to the Value Builder podcast. For more strategies, stories, and episodes, head to valuebuilder.co or subscribe on your favorite app. Always make it better than you found it and keep adding value. See you in the next one.